Officially called the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, the historic gathering took place on August 28, 1963.
Freedom Now movement, hear me. We are requesting all citizens to move into Washington, to go by plane, by car, bus, any way that you can get there. Walk if necessary. We are pushing for jobs, housing, desegregated schools. This is an urgent request.
The purpose of the event was to draw attention to the continuing challenges and inequalities faced by African Americans over a century after the Emancipation Proclamation. It was also the occasion of Martin Luther King Jr.'s now iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. Close to 250,000 people gathered at the Lincoln Memorial, with over 3,000 members of press. A. Philip Randolph was Martin Luther King before Martin Luther King. He was a freedom fighter, a revolutionary, a social activist, a labor leader. During World War I, Randolph unionized the black shipyard workers and elevator operators. He also co-launched a magazine designed to encourage and demand for higher wages for black workers. He later founded the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, which by 1937 will become the first official African American labor union. That was A. Philip Randolph. Randolph was so dope at getting people together that he was the driving force behind ending racial discrimination and desegregating the armed forces. Now, about a year before the actual March on Washington, Randolph was planning his own march for jobs. And Dr. King, along with his Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC, was planning a march for freedom. So the two decided to put their groups together in one giant mass protest and a march on Washington. Now, before this all went down, President John F. Kennedy met with the civil rights leaders. In a meeting in June 22nd, Kennedy told organizers that the march was perhaps ill-timed, as we want success in Congress, not just a big show at the Capitol. Randolph and King and other leaders insisted that the march should go forward, with King telling the president himself, frankly, I have never engaged in any direct action or movement which did not seem ill-timed. JFK ended up reluctantly endorsing the March on Washington. In addition, the civil rights leaders decided to end the march at the Lincoln Memorial instead of the Capitol. They didn't want to make Congress feel as if they were being under siege.
We march today for jobs and freedom, but we have nothing to be proud of. The hundreds and thousands of our brothers are not here, but they're receiving starvation wages or no wages at all. We are tired. We are tired of being beaten by policemen. We're tired of seeing our people locked up in jail over and over again, and then you holler, be patient. How long can we be patient? We want our freedom, and we want it now.
And the master of ceremony was none other than Ossie Davis. Mahalia Jackson and Marian Anderson even sang songs. Dr. King agreed to speak last. Although his speech was only scheduled to be 4 minutes long, he ended up speaking for almost 16 minutes in what would become the most famous speech of the civil rights movement, maybe even human history. Over time, it's been called the "I Have a Dream" speech, but that famous line wasn't actually a part of King's planned remarks that day. After leading into the speech with the classic spiritual, "I've been buked and I've been scorned," gospel singer Mahalia Jackson stood behind Dr. King as he went up to deliver his speech. At one point during his speech, she shouted out to him, "Tell him about the dream, Martin. Tell him about the dream," referring to a familiar theme he had referenced in earlier speeches. So Dr. King departed from his prepared notes and launched into the most famous part of the speech. And so even though we face the difficulties of today, you know what, that sounds more like Barack Obama. I'ma just let him do it.
Even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. Yeah. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream.
So today, August 28th, Dr. Martin Luther King, for freestyling one of the dopest speeches of all time, and for everybody who took part on the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, we salute you.
I am glad to report to you that the official count is that we have over 200,000 Negro and white workers. And they are still coming into Washington.